I briefly read over this and replied, "This makes no sense." To which you replied, "If you are an atheist, I am not surprised. Atheists do not recognize absolute truth, nor therefore can they contemplate objective truth." So completely arrogant from you. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and go over this yet again, now that I'm a little bit more awake. I've had my coffee and whatever. Always remember, however, that logic does not produce absolute truth. Okay, logic does not produce absolute truth. What does logic produce then? Are you denouncing logic? Okay, so truth is just the way something is in accordance to reality. Okay, definition of truth. The quality or state of being true. Yeah, it's just something that's in accordance with reality. It's what happened, or just the reality of X or Y. That's what truth is. The opposite of false, obviously. It's what happened, or what is. Reason does. Okay, so the problem here is that logic is often related to reason. People always say logic and reason, or reason or logic. Reason and logic. Okay, that logic does not produce absolute truth. Reason does. So that's... wow, this whole sentence is just nonsense. You're saying that logic doesn't produce absolute truth. Logic... okay, what's the definition of logic now? Reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. Yeah, a system or set of principles underlying the arrangements of elements in a computer or electronic device so as to perform a specified task. What is logic in simple words? A system of reasoning that aims to draw valid conclusions based on given information. Yeah, I like that one. That one best suits the understanding I have of logic. So basically, it's just how something works out. It's just what just sensibly goes together. So logic does not produce absolute truth. Well, it's not really supposed to. Logic is something, entirely different concept than truth. So, but then again, I mean, well, okay, so the unknown hypothesis is God's truth. So your main, regardless of what I just said, your main focus is truth. But, well, you mentioned logic and reason and all that shit. You're trying to discredit logic, or I don't know what you're trying to do here. You're saying that God's truth is irregardless of the logic, which means it just exists no matter, even if it isn't logical. I guess. Is that what you're trying to say here? You're basically saying God's truth is not logical, but that's okay because logic doesn't even apply. Logic doesn't matter. Somehow reason does, though. Reason and grace is reflexively respectable to the unknown hypothesis. Okay, what is grace now? Simple elegance or refinement of movement. Courteous goodwill. Okay. At least he has the grace to admit his debt to her. Admittance, basically. At least he has the grace. At least he has the dignity to do honor or credit to someone by one's presence. I think, yeah, this one's sounds to me like it fits God and the religious concept of it the best. To do honor due honor or credit to someone or something by one's presence. Now, reason grace is reflexively respectable to the unknown hypothesis. Okay, what is the unknown hypothesis, though? What are you saying here? Unknown hypothesis. Well, how can you say anything if the hypothesis is unknown? And how can you know God's truth is so? How can you even say it's God's truth when you don't even know what the hypothesis is? Which you said nothing here. Now you could chalk this down, oh, you're just an atheist, but that's being disingenuous. That's being dishonest. Even your name, BV, or B versus disrational atheism. Now you're insulting atheism. You're strawmanning it. Atheism is only the non-belief in God's existence. It can't be disrational. It can't be anything. Marxism and socialism are only byproducts or secular byproducts. Now, anyone who claims, well, the problem is I haven't really read, I don't know anything about Marxism, I don't really even know anything about socialism, but you guys are the ones who keep bringing those things up, not me. And you call yourself a problem-solving entrepreneur, but yet you strawman atheism, and you're all over the place here. Okay. Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to truth idolatry, yet C1, Commandment 1, you shall have no gods before me. Declaring the discovery of Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to truth idolatry. What? Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to... What are you talking about? Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to truth idolatry. You shall have no other gods before me. Absolute truth is idolatry? What does discovering the discovery of absolute truth have to do with other gods? What? How is the discovery... How is any of it truth? Or why do you want any of it to be truth? Always remember, however, that logic does not produce absolute truth. Okay, you say this, but then you attach this statement to this commandment. Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to truth idolatry. Huh? So, logic does not produce truth idolatry? Huh? I'm not being dishonest here. I'm not speaking from a position of atheism here. I'm genuinely looking at this objectively. Well, of course. Oh, fuck. However, the God hypothesis is reasonable expressly because of the unknown hypothesis, a reason for everything in life. Well, the problem is that I don't know what the hypothesis... You haven't explained what the hypothesis is, but you're attaching the word unknown to that hypothesis while you're saying it's unknown hypothesis. So, well, how can it even be a hypothesis if it's unknown? How can you determine a truth from an unknown hypothesis? Which is something I should have said 5 minutes ago, but oh well, nobody's perfect. Maintaining this delicate and enlightened balance is grace and humility. It requires self-control, and self-control is free will. Well, see, the problem here is that if we're all born with original sin, which means we're born under the devil's influence, absolutely, there is no self. Because no matter what we do, we're under the devil's control, not our own control. We're not ourself. We're of the devil. We can only be. Which would also therefore mean, and I'll add this, that because we're born sinful, which is evil, according to you guys, I don't believe in the word evil, but that's beside the point, we can only be attracted to other evils. And because you guys repent this evil, this sin, which you can't really be done if we're naturally evil, you're turning to God. You're saying that God is also evil because you're turning to him. Evil can only be attracted to evil. There is no goodness within evil. Zero. So, yeah. You see, because of God, though we cannot know, well then, if you can't know God, then how can you know anything? To not be able to know is to contradict yourself, your very nature. Well, how can you know what truth is? How can you know what a hypothesis is? How can you know what logic is? How can you know what idolatry is? How can you even know what a God is if you don't know? Or explain to me what I have wrong there if I am wrong. You see, because of God, though we cannot know, how do you know what free will is? How do you know what maturity is? How is God mature? Yeah, having a second look at this, it still doesn't make any sense. But of course you would just say, oh, if you were an atheist, I'm not surprised atheists do not recognize absolute truth. Well, the thing is, we're not recognizing truth idolatry. Didn't you condemn that? The commandment condemns that, does it not? You just said it here. Declaring the discovery of absolute truth leads to truth idolatry. Okay, you said truth idolatry, which would be against this commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. So you're saying that absolute truth, the discovery of it, is idolatry, and therefore against God's commandment. But here you say, atheists do not recognize absolute truth, nor therefore can they contemplate objective truth. Now, you're obsessed with truth, and despite what I just said, well, what you just said, which I interpreted as not being able to know what a truth is, because God is unknowable, and the hypothesis is unknown. Why do you want Christianity to be the objective truth, or the absolute truth, or whatever? Why do you want it to be the truth at all? So, yeah. Okay, now I asked what the forbidden fruit contained. What did I get there? Seeds of destruction, trees of abandonment, forests of... You're not on... What? Fruit that falls and rots, leaves the last... Okay, you're not answering my question. Or the woman just wants to, go on this tirade. Seeds of destruction, trees of abandonment, forests of answer the fucking question. Okay, what of the fruit contained those seeds of destruction, or how was the fruit seeds of destruction, trees of answer the fucking question. I mean, I know that based on what everyone has said throughout the years, that the forbidden fruit contains knowledge. That's what I'm getting at. You fucking... Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that. What? Almost 20 minutes here? I don't like that. Hopefully I can subtract that by Well, I don't know. Anyway.